Let me ask you a simple question. What's been living rent-free in your mind lately? Because here's the truth. You become what you think about. Not sometimes, not once in a while, every single day. If your thoughts are filled with fear, doubt, and worry, your life starts to reflect it. If your mind is consumed with growth, gratitude, and goals, that too becomes your reality. You see, your mind is the factory, and your thoughts, they're the blueprint. What you feed it, it builds. What you dwell on, you attract. What you believe, you become. That's not just motivation. That's a law. And here's the catch. It works whether you're aware of it or not. So if you don't like where your life is going, maybe it's time to look at what's been playing on repeat in your head. Because here's the thing. You can't plant weeds in the garden of your mind and expect roses to bloom. This message, this idea, it changed everything for me. It made me more intentional, more focused, more powerful. And I want it to do the same for you. So stick with me. In the next few minutes, we're going to break this down, step by step, thought by thought. And by the end, you'll see exactly how your thinking has been shaping your life and how you can take back control. Let's get started. Thoughts are seeds, and you're always planting. Let me begin by telling you something simple, but don't confuse simple with insignificant. Your thoughts are seeds, and the moment you think them, you've already planted something. Now the question is, what kind of harvest are you going to get? You see, life doesn't just respond to your wishes. It responds to your thinking, to your mindset, to your inner dialogue. The soil of life is always fertile. It doesn't care what you plant, good seed or bad seed. It will return it back to you, multiplied and multiplied again. Just like the earth doesn't argue with the farmer, life doesn't argue with your thoughts. It simply goes to work, quietly, consistently, relentlessly, producing the harvest you ordered, whether you meant to or not. Now let me give you a picture. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every day you wake up with a bag full of seeds. Some of those seeds are powerful, seeds of hope, courage, gratitude, and ambition. But others, they're destructive, seeds of fear, self-doubt, anger, and procrastination. And here's the catch. You plant them all, every single one, with your thoughts, with your focus, with your attention. And what you plant over time becomes your mindset. Your mindset becomes your decisions. Your decisions become your actions. And your actions create your results. So if you don't like your current harvest, don't blame the weather. Don't blame the soil. Take a good look at the seeds you've been planting. Now here's a powerful truth. Most people are planting by default, not by design. They wake up, scroll through their phone, absorb the news, listen to gossip, and then wonder why they feel anxious or lost by lunchtime. That's not life happening to you. That's your garden working exactly as it was planted. So what's the solution? Start thinking on purpose. You have to get intentional about the seeds you drop into your mind. Instead of, I can't, plant, I can improve. Instead of, what if I fail, plant, what if I learn something that changes everything? Instead of, this always happens to me, plant, this time I'll respond differently. Because here's the magic. And it is magic. One small positive thought, planted and watered with repetition, can completely change the landscape of your life. Think about it. Just one idea, believed in, spoken out loud and acted upon, can start a chain reaction, a new habit, a new result, a new chapter. But you've got to be honest with yourself. What kinds of seeds have you been planting lately? Every complaint is a seed. Every excuse is a seed. Every moment you say, it's too late, or I'm not good enough. That's a seed. But so is every word of encouragement. Every decision to try again. Every act of discipline. Every vision you hold in your mind of a better life. That's a seed too. So what's your garden going to look like a year from now? 10 years from now? The good news is, you don't have to wait to find out. You just have to look at what you're planting today. Here's a practical step. Something simple but powerful. Start keeping a thought journal. Every morning, write down the dominant thought running through your mind. Is it hopeful? Is it negative? Is it empowering or draining? Track your seeds. Because what gets tracked gets changed. And what gets changed can grow into something remarkable. Let me leave you with this. You don't have to be a genius to change your life. You just have to become a better gardener. Choose your seeds wisely. Water them daily. Protect them from the weeds. And harvest will take care of itself. Remember, you're always planting. The only question is, are you planting what you actually want to grow? The mind is a garden. Guard it ruthlessly. Let me tell you something that's changed more lives than any motivational slogan ever could. Your mind is a garden, and every single day, something is trying to grow in it. Something is trying to take root. But here's the deal. If you don't take charge of what grows there, then anything, and I do mean anything, will start growing. Let me ask you, have you ever walked past a garden that was completely overtaken by weeds? What happened there? Did someone come and plant all those weeds on purpose? No. Nobody plants weeds. They just show up by neglect, by not paying attention, by saying, I'll tend to it tomorrow. Well, the same thing happens in the mind. If you don't guard it, weed it, protect it, soon you're not thinking your thoughts anymore. You're just reacting to everyone else's. And that's dangerous, because the world is not neutral. There are voices, negative voices, whispering and sometimes shouting all day long. Voices that say, you're not enough. Voices that say, it's too late. Voices that say, you'll never change. And if you're not careful, those voices will take root. They'll grow tall, they'll grow strong, and soon they'll block out the sunlight of your potential. You've got to be the gatekeeper of your mind. You've got to decide who gets in and who gets escorted out. You've got to filter what comes through your eyes, your ears, and your inner dialogue. Now, I'm not saying you build walls so high that no ideas can get in. No, you want to be open-minded, but not so open that weeds can blow in with the breeze. It's not just about protecting your mind. It's about curating it, feeding it, strengthening it. You've got to feed it ideas that stretch you, stories that inspire you, thoughts that lift you. Because here's what I've found. A strong mind becomes a strong life. A guarded mind becomes a guided life. And a clear mind becomes a creative life. Now let me give you some practical advice. If you're going to guard your mind, you need to build a few habits. 1. Control the first hour of your day. The first hour sets the tone for your entire day. If you fill it with junk, news headlines, social media comparison, chaos, you've already let the weeds in. Instead, start your day with intention. Read, reflect, write, visualize. Plant something good. 2. Audit your input. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow or holding me back? That TV show, that podcast, that conversation, what's it doing to your garden? If it's toxic, turn it off. If it's dull, cut it out. Be ruthless. It's your future at stake. 3. Choose your circle carefully. People are carriers. They carry energy, they carry ideas, and they carry influence. If you surround yourself with complainers, guess what you'll start planting? More complaints. Surround yourself with growers, with thinkers, with doers, and your garden will thrive. 4. Practice mental hygiene. Just like you brush your teeth and take a shower, your mind needs daily cleansing. Journaling clears out the clutter. Silence renews your focus. Gratitude resets your perspective. Remember, even a beautiful garden can turn wild if you ignore it. And here's what's remarkable. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start pulling the weeds and planting better seeds. Day by day, thought by thought. Let me tell you what happens when you guard your garden. You begin to think more clearly. You make better decisions. You attract better people. And you create a life that reflects purpose, not just noise. That's the power of a well-tended mind. So let me ask you right now, what's growing in your garden? Be honest. Because honesty is the beginning of progress. And then make a decision, today, to guard it with everything you've got. Because your mind is the starting point of every achievement, every breakthrough, every transformation. You guard the mind and the rest of life follows. What you think about, you move toward. Now let me share a principle with you that has quietly shaped the lives of the successful for generations. You move toward what you think about, not what you wish for, not what you daydream about on a lazy afternoon, but what you think about, constantly, consistently, with emotional involvement. Because what you dwell on, you eventually walk toward. The mind, my friend, is like a compass. Whatever you point it at long enough, that's where you'll end up heading. Even if you're not aware of it, even if you're not trying. Let's say someone spends their days thinking, I'm always tired. I can't seem to catch a break. Nothing ever works for me. Guess what? Their actions begin to match that story. They walk slower. They try less. They expect failure. And eventually they find it. Now reverse that. Imagine someone who wakes up thinking, I'm improving. I'm learning. I'm building something meaningful. You'll see it in their posture. You'll hear it in their voice. You'll feel it in their momentum. Why? Because they're moving in the direction of their dominant thoughts. You see, your mind is always giving orders to your behavior, and your behavior is what drives your results. But here's the catch. Your thoughts don't have to be true to influence your direction. They just have to be repeated. Read that again. Your thoughts don't have to be true. They just have to be repeated. So if you're telling yourself every day, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, I'll start next year, guess what happens? Your body listens, your habits follow, and your life starts to shrink. You've got to interrupt that pattern. You've got to point the compass somewhere worth going. Let me give you a real-life example. Years ago, I had a young man come up to me after a seminar. He said, Mr. Rohn, I want to be successful, but I feel stuck. I don't know what to do. I asked him, what do you think about most during the day? He said, honestly, I think about how I'm failing, about how far behind I am. And I told him, son, that's your problem. You're trying to run north, but your mind is pointed south. You can't get to where you want to go by constantly thinking about where you don't want to be. And you can't either. You've got to start thinking about what you want, not just what you fear. You've got to see the future in your mind before you ever hold it in your hands. Because the mind leads, and life follows. Here's a simple habit you can build starting today. Mental targeting. Every morning, take 5 minutes. Just 5. And think clearly about where you want to go. Not vaguely, not someday, but specifically. The kind of health you want. The kind of income you desire. The character you want to live out. The relationships you want to build. The kind of person you want to become. Hold those images in your mind. Feel them, speak them, write them down. Because when the mind sees something often enough, it starts to believe it's possible. And when belief shows up, action follows close behind. That's how success begins. Not with luck, not with genius, but with focus. What you think about, you begin to notice. What you notice, you begin to pursue. And what you pursue, you begin to experience. So what's your mind fixed on? Be honest. Are you thinking about problems or possibilities? Worry or opportunity? Who you used to be? Or who you're becoming? Because your thoughts today are the preview of your life tomorrow. Let me close with this. Every person you admire, every achiever, every leader, every builder, they all had to point their mind in the right direction before they ever moved. And so do you. You don't drift to excellence. You think your way into it, and then you move. So decide right now, where do you want to go? And more importantly, what are you willing to start thinking about to get there? Because what you think about, you will move toward. And the journey begins the moment you take back the steering wheel of your mind. Your life follows your philosophy. Let me tell you something that's easy to overlook, but absolutely essential to understand if you want to change your life. Your life doesn't follow your hopes. It doesn't follow your good intentions. It doesn't even follow your goals if they're just written on a sheet of paper. Your life follows your philosophy. Now, what do I mean by that? Your philosophy is simply what you believe about life, about success, about failure, about people, about yourself. It's the set of ideas you've accepted as true. It's the way you see the world, and it shapes every decision, every habit, every result. Your philosophy is your internal compass. And whether you know it or not, it's been pointing you in a direction for years. Now here's what's important. You don't get what you want. You get what your philosophy allows. You can want wealth, but if your philosophy is money is the root of all evil, you'll sabotage yourself every time an opportunity shows up. You can want love, but if your philosophy is everyone leaves, you'll push people away without even realizing it. You can want success, but if your philosophy says people like me never make it, then guess what? You'll prove yourself right. That's the power of a hidden philosophy. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if your life isn't what you want it to be right now, you don't need to look outside. You need to look within. You've got to examine the ideas you've been building your life around. And that's not always easy, because many of those beliefs were inherited from parents, from school, from culture, from past pain. You didn't choose them, but they're still running the show. Now the good news is this: you can change your philosophy. That's the beautiful part about being human. You're not a tree. You can move, you can grow, you can upgrade your thinking, but you have to do it on purpose. Let me give you some practical steps to begin. 1. Identify the results you're getting. The results don't lie. They're always the loudest messenger of your current philosophy. If your finances are a mess, there's a philosophy behind that. If your health is declining, there's a philosophy driving that too. If your relationships keep falling apart, same thing. Results reveal beliefs. So start there. 2. Ask, what must I believe to keep creating this? This is a powerful question. It cuts through the noise and gets right to the root. You'll uncover beliefs like, I'm not worth it. Hard work never pays off. People can't be trusted. And once you see it, you can change it. 3. Replace weak beliefs with empowering truths. Here's the rule. Don't just remove a bad philosophy. Replace it with a better one. I'm not worth it becomes I'm valuable, and growth is my responsibility. Success is for other people becomes success is earned, and I'm willing to earn it. Write your new philosophy down. Say it daily. Live it consistently. 4. Build a philosophy that serves your future. Ask yourself this. If I keep thinking the way I'm thinking now, will it take me to the life I want? If not, don't wait for life to get better. Make your philosophy better, because that's where the real change begins. Let me tell you what happens when you upgrade your philosophy. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop blaming and start building. You stop drifting and start designing. You become the architect of your future, because your mind is finally working for you, not against you. But remember, your philosophy doesn't change overnight. It changes by decision, then repetition, then reinforcement through action. You've got to review it often, refine it, sharpen it, because the moment your philosophy starts to change, so does everything else. Let me leave you with this. If you want to change your income, change your philosophy about money. If you want to change your health, change your philosophy about discipline. If you want to change your relationships, change your philosophy about people. And if you want to change your life, start with the thoughts you allow to live in your head and the beliefs you allow to govern your days, because your life will never go further than your philosophy allows. So upgrade it, guard it, live by it, and watch the world respond. You can't live a positive life with a negative mind. Let me give it to you straight. You can't live a positive life with a negative mind. It just won't happen. Trying to do that is like trying to plant flowers in poison. You can hope, you can pray, you can water the soil every morning, but nothing grows when the roots are rotten. You see, your mindset sets the tone for your entire life. Not your background, not your education, not your circumstances. Your mindset. Now here's what I've learned after years of speaking with people from all walks of life. Most people don't even realize how negative their thinking has become. They don't notice how many times a day they say things like, this always happens to me. Just my luck. Nothing ever works out. I knew I'd mess it up. I don't think I can. These aren't just passing words. They are reflections of a deeply rooted mindset. And over time, those thoughts become habits. Those habits become identity. And that identity becomes a life that never rises above average. But here's the good news. The mind can change. And when your mind changes, your life starts to follow. Let me show you how negativity shows up. In your words, you speak doubt, not confidence. In your body language, you slouch, you sigh, you hesitate. In your habits, you procrastinate, you give up early, you sabotage your momentum. In your relationships, you expect the worst, you assume the worst, you attract the worst. And all of it starts with your thinking. You can't talk failure and expect success. You can't dwell on limitations and walk into freedom. You can't replay rejection in your mind and expect to feel confident when opportunity knocks. It doesn't work like that. Now listen, I'm not saying life is always sunshine and roses. We all go through tough seasons. We all face rejection, pain, betrayal, setbacks. But the difference between a negative mind and a strong mind is simple. A negative mind stays there. A strong mind acknowledges the pain, then chooses a better perspective, because your mind doesn't just reflect your life. It creates it. You've got to take responsibility for your atmosphere. Here's a powerful exercise. Try this starting today. Create a mindset filter. Every time a negative thought shows up, stop and ask, is this useful? Is it true? Is it helping me grow? If the answer is no, replace it. Don't fight the negative thought. Override it. You don't have to wrestle with the dark if you just turn on the light. Let me give you a few replacements for common negative thoughts. Instead of I'll never figure this out, say every expert was once a beginner. Instead of I'm so behind, say I'm right on time for my journey. Instead of I always fail, say every failure has something to teach me. Instead of I'm not good enough, say I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm not done yet. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be intentional. And here's another tip. Protect your input. You can't expect a positive mind while feeding it hours of fear, gossip, and outrage every day. The mind absorbs what you give it. So give it something strong, something clean, something that builds rather than breaks. Books, podcasts, sermons, positive conversations, quiet time, gratitude journals. That's how you clean out the negativity and keep it out. Let me leave you with this. You don't attract the life you want. You attract the life that matches your mindset. So if you want a life of peace, purpose, and power, you've got to build the kind of mind that believes in it, that expects it, that creates it. Your future depends on it, because you can't live a positive life with a negative mind. The power of repetition. Think it until you believe it. Let me tell you something I've shared with audiences for decades, and it's as true today as it was the first time I said it. Repetition is the mother of skill. It's the mother of skill. It's the mother of belief. It's the tool for rewiring your mind. It's how thoughts turn into convictions, and convictions turn into action. You want to know how people become confident? They rehearse the right thoughts over and over, until doubt gets drowned out by certainty. You want to know how someone goes from broke to wealthy, from timid to bold, from stuck to successful? They don't just try success once. They think it, speak it, visualize it, repeat it, until their entire being aligns with it. Let me be clear. One positive thought isn't enough. It's like doing one push-up and expecting a six-pack. If you want to believe something deeply, if you want to become something new, you've got to feed that thought to your mind every single day. Now, repetition works in both directions. It can build you up or break you down. Negative thoughts repeated become negative beliefs, and negative beliefs will guide your decisions and shape your identity. Let me give you an example. A child hears you're not good enough over and over, and guess what happens? They believe it. They start to act on it. They stop trying, stop stretching, stop dreaming. Not because they're not capable, but because repetition convinced them they weren't. The same principle applies in the opposite direction. Speak courage over yourself long enough, and courage starts to take root. Repeat discipline long enough, and it becomes part of your nature. Affirm your vision daily, and soon the world starts responding. You see, your mind is listening, even when you don't realize it. So the question becomes, what message have you been repeating to yourself? I'm too late? I'll never catch up? I'm not like them? I'm not meant for more? Or, I'm growing every day? I'm willing to learn? I can build something meaningful? My past does not define my future? One of those sets will lead you to purpose. The other will keep you circling the same mountain. Now here's a practical tool I teach all the time. The repetition ritual. Every morning, before the chaos of the day begins, speak 5 truths out loud. Not empty hype, not vague motivation, but real, grounded, specific truths about who you are becoming. Write them on your mirror. Record them on your phone. Set a reminder if you have to. Just make sure you're feeding your mind something powerful, on purpose, because the mind doesn't care if what you say is good or bad. It just absorbs what it hears most. So you have to outshout the doubt. You have to outthink the fear. You have to outrepeat the story you've believed for too long. Let me also remind you, you don't need to feel it before you say it. That's the trick. You don't speak what's already true. You speak what you want to become true, because repetition leads belief, not the other way around. If you say something long enough, you'll begin to believe it. And once you believe it, you'll act on it. And once you act on it, you'll prove it. And once you prove it, nobody can take it from you. That's how transformation begins. Let me close this chapter with a challenge. What one truth do you want to believe, but still struggle with? Is it that you're worthy of success? That you can reinvent yourself? That you have what it takes? Whatever it is, turn it into a declaration. Repeat it daily. Let it grow roots. Water it with action. Because belief is not something you wait for. Belief is something you build. One thought at a time, one repetition at a time, one decision at a time. And remember, repetition doesn't just change your mind, it changes your life. So speak it, write it, think it, until you believe it. And once you believe it, everything changes. Thoughts shape habits, and habits build identity. Let me tell you something that most people never connect. The way you think becomes the way you live. Now that might sound simple, but don't let its simplicity fool you. It's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever learn. Here's the progression. First, you think a thought. That thought becomes a decision. That decision repeated becomes a habit. And your habits, they become who you are. Thought, habit, identity. That's the formula. And once you understand it, you'll stop asking, why do I keep doing this? And start asking, what thought is behind this behavior? You see, habits don't come out of nowhere. They grow from the seeds of thought, thoughts that have been repeated, reinforced, and accepted as truth. Let's break it down. Imagine someone who constantly thinks, I'm disorganized. I can't focus. I'm just not disciplined. You know what happens? They begin acting in a way that aligns with that script. They stop trying to be organized. They quit early on routines. And pretty soon the habit becomes real. But it started with the thought. Now let's reverse it. Someone starts telling themselves, I'm learning to be focused. I'm a person who follows through. I value structure because my goals deserve it. Those thoughts begin to shape new behaviors. They try a new morning routine. They start showing up earlier. They make the bed. They drink the water. They read the book. And guess what? Those small habits begin to stack up. And that stack becomes a new identity. Because here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And your habits follow your thinking. Let me give you a rule I've taught for years. You can't outperform your self-image for long. If you see yourself as lazy, you'll find a way to prove it. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll keep breaking your promises. But the good news, if you begin to think differently, you'll start to act differently. That's the power of identity, and it's built from the ground up. Let me ask you a question. What habits are you living with today that were born out of a thought you no longer believe? The thought that you'll never get healthy. The thought that you're just not good with money. The thought that your relationships always fall apart. The thought that you'll never finish what you start. Those thoughts may have been planted years ago, but if the habit is still there, it's still shaping your life. So what do? You start the replacement process. Here's how. Step 1. Catch the thought behind the habit. Ask yourself, what am I believing right before I give up? Before I avoid? Before I scroll, snooze, or stress? Step 2. Name the habit it created. Maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's isolation. Maybe it's overeating, overspending, overreacting. Step 3. Choose a new thought and attach it to a new habit. I'm someone who keeps promises to myself. I do hard things daily because I'm building something. I follow through because my future is worth it. Step 4. Rehearse the identity until it feels real. Say it, write it, visualize it, and take one small action a day that proves it's true. Because here's what happens. Each time you act in alignment with a better thought, you're casting a vote for a new identity. Let me tell you something else. You don't have to believe it fully at the beginning. You just have to believe it enough to take action. And action is what starts the change. You're not stuck with the habits you've got. You're not trapped in an identity you didn't consciously choose. You are one new thought away from a new habit, and one new habit away from becoming someone new. Let me leave you with this. Don't just change your behavior. Change the thought that led to it. Because when you change your thinking, you build new habits. And when you build new habits, you change who you are. And when your identity changes, your whole life rises to match it. So start thinking like the person you want to become. Start doing what that version of you would do. And soon you'll wake up one day and realize you've become that person. Association magnifies thought. Let me share a principle with you that could change your direction almost overnight. Your associations magnify your thoughts. They amplify them. They reinforce them. They make them louder, stronger, and harder to ignore. That's right. Who you spend time with determines what you start to believe. And what you believe shapes what you do. And what you do becomes your life. You see, we're all influenced. We can pretend we're not, but we are. Every conversation, every environment, every relationship is either feeding your dreams or draining them. It's either pushing you forward or pulling you back. So the question becomes, who's speaking into your thinking? Because if thoughts are seeds, then the people around you are the water, the sun, or the weeds. Let's be honest. Some people walk into your life and plant vision, faith, discipline. They challenge your excuses. They push you to aim higher. You leave their presence thinking clearer, standing taller, believing stronger. And then there are others. Some people, without even knowing it, infect your thinking with fear. They feed your doubt. They normalize mediocrity. They make it seem smart to stay small. But here's what I want you to understand. Thoughts don't grow in isolation. They grow in community. That's why your circle matters more than you think. You can spend all day working on your mindset. But if you're surrounded by people who constantly talk defeat, drama, and delay, you're planting and they're plucking. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut people off cold, but you do need to become intentional about who gets access to your attention, your time, and your energy. You see, I learned a long time ago, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So take inventory. Who challenges your thinking? Who speaks life into your goals? Who encourages better habits and lives them out themselves? Who believes in your potential, even when you forget it? Those are the voices you need more of. And what about the others? The complainers, the excuse makers, the blamers, the it's not worth trying crowd. You don't have to hate them. You just have to limit their influence. Why? Because exposure creates belief, and belief creates behavior. So if you keep exposing yourself to small thinking, don't be surprised when you start playing small yourself. Here's a rule you can write down. Environment is stronger than willpower. You might have big goals, but if you're in a room where no one else is growing, it's only a matter of time before your fire fades. But put yourself in a room full of driven, focused, growing people, and watch how your own thinking starts to stretch. You'll pick up better language. You'll learn new strategies. You'll expect more from yourself just by being around people who expect more from life. That's the power of association. Now here's something else. Association is not just about people. It's also about what you consume, what you read, what you listen to, what you scroll through every day. Podcasts, books, videos, conversations. They all carry influence. So ask yourself, are you feeding your mind anything that elevates your thinking, or are you overdosing on noise and nonsense? Be selective, not arrogant, not isolated, just intentional. Because you are not just choosing friends, you are choosing your future mindset. Let me leave you with this. You don't grow in the wrong crowd. You don't think big when you're surrounded by small talk. You don't build confidence around constant criticism. So choose your circle with courage. Stand guard at the gates of your mind, and be bold enough to say, if it doesn't grow me, it can't stay. Because association does magnify thought, and thought shapes destiny. So surround yourself with people who make you better, and you'll think better, live better, and become someone extraordinary. You attract what you consistently dwell on. Here's something to remember for the rest of your life. You don't get what you want. You don't get what you hope for. You get what you consistently dwell on. That's the difference between wishful thinking and intentional living. Because here's the truth. The mind is a magnet, and your dominant thoughts, the ones you revisit over and over again, they begin to shape what you notice, what you believe is possible, and what you naturally move toward. In other words, your focus forms your future. Now, I'm not talking about magic. This isn't some mystical idea that you think about money and it rains down from the ceiling. No, this is cause and effect. This is how your attention controls your energy, and your energy drives your behavior. And your behavior creates your results. Let me show you how this works in real life. Have you ever noticed that when you get fixated on a problem, more problems seem to pop up? It's not because the world suddenly got worse. It's because your focus narrowed. You stopped seeing solutions. You stopped noticing opportunities. You started filtering your entire experience through the lens of what's wrong. But flip that around. Start dwelling on progress. Start focusing on growth. Start revisiting your goals with clarity and emotion. And suddenly doors begin to open. Ideas show up. People appear. Momentum builds. Why? Because your thoughts are pointing your life in a direction. And where your thoughts go, your life follows. Now here's something powerful. Whatever you dwell on, you start to expect. And what you expect, you prepare for. And what you prepare for, you tend to receive. Let's break that down. If you dwell on failure, you begin to expect failure. You walk into rooms guarded. You try new things half-hearted. You keep people at a distance. And sure enough, failure shows up. But if you dwell on the possibility of success, you begin to expect progress. You take more initiative. You speak with conviction. You treat the opportunity like it matters. And soon success starts to respond. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Let me give you something practical. Start dwelling on what you do want. Every morning, take 5 minutes and rehearse the future you're building. See the version of yourself that's disciplined. See the lifestyle that reflects your values. See the relationships that bring peace and strength. See the work that makes you proud. And don't just see it, feel it, because emotion strengthens attention. And attention repeated becomes belief. And belief backed by action becomes reality. Here's another key. Dwell doesn't mean visit. It means live there. It means come back to the thought. Nurture it. Speak it. Defend it. You can't dwell on fear for 6 days and hope that one motivational quote on Sunday fixes everything. Your focus must be consistent. Your mindset must be reinforced daily, because life responds to repetition. not random effort. And let me say this, if you've been attracting the wrong outcomes, that's not a failure. It's feedback. It's telling you what you've been focused on too much. It's showing you what's been living in your mental neighborhood rent-free. And it's inviting you to clean house. You can't attract abundance by obsessing over lack. You can't attract purpose by fixating on problems. You can't attract strong people into your life while thinking weak thoughts all day long. You attract what you consistently dwell on. So make sure you're dwelling on something worth building. Let me close with this. Your thoughts have power, not because they float into the universe, but because they shape you, and you are the one creating your life. So dwell on growth, dwell on gratitude, dwell on clarity, dwell on strength, dwell on who you are becoming, not just who you've been, because what you dwell on today becomes your reality tomorrow. Think in terms of becoming, not just having. Let me say something that might stop you in your tracks. Success isn't about what you get, it's about who you become. You see, too many people are focused on having. I want the car. I want the house. I want the freedom. I want the recognition. And hey, there's nothing wrong with having goals. There's nothing wrong with nice things. But here's what I learned a long time ago. If you chase the having without becoming the person who can handle it, it won't last. You'll earn the money, but lose it. You'll gain the recognition, but crumble under pressure. You'll attract the opportunity, but sabotage it because you didn't develop the habits, the discipline, or the strength to sustain it. So here's the shift that changes everything. Stop thinking, what do I want to have? Start thinking, who do I need to become? That's the real secret. Not chasing the prize, but becoming prize worthy. Let me give you an example. A man says, I want $1 million. That's great. But what's better? Becoming the kind of person who's valuable enough to earn and manage $1 million. That's where the growth is. That's where the confidence comes from. Not in the money, in the mastery. Because if you become that person, you can lose everything and earn it back again. Because success didn't live in your bank account. It lived in you. Let's go deeper. You want a strong relationship? Don't just wish for someone amazing to show up. Ask yourself, am I becoming the kind of partner they'd want to commit to? You want a thriving business? Don't just look for clients. Ask, am I becoming someone trustworthy, skilled, and disciplined enough to lead? Because life will always give you a reflection of who you are becoming, not just what you're hoping for. Here's a truth to write down. Success is attracted by the person you are becoming. That's why personal growth is not a luxury. It's a necessity. That's why your habits matter. That's why your thinking matters. That's why your discipline, your focus, your attitude, they all matter. They don't just help you get things. They shape who you are. And that's the real reward. So how do you shift from having to becoming? Let me give you a simple process. 1. Define what you want. Then translate it into a character goal. Not just, I want to lose 20 pounds. But I want to become a person who values their health and honors their body daily. Not just, I want to be rich. But I want to become a person who creates value, manages wisely, and multiplies resources. This shift changes everything because it puts the power back in your hands. 2. Visualize your future self. Take 5 minutes each morning, not to daydream, but to clarify. What does the best version of you think like? How do they talk? How do they respond to pressure? How do they use their time? See it, feel it, then live it. One decision at a time. 3. Take action aligned with who you're becoming, not who you've been. This is big. Most people act like their past is still in charge. But when you decide to become, you take action that may feel unfamiliar, but it's aligned with your future. You wake up earlier, you speak with more clarity, you say no to things that no longer match your values. You choose growth over comfort, and soon that new person, they're not a dream anymore, they're you. Let me remind you, you can have the house, you can have the career, you can have the life, but more importantly, you can become the kind of person who builds it, keeps it, and multiplies it. And that's the win that can never be taken from you. Because the real prize is not what you get, it's who you become. So think in those terms. Live in that truth. Build that version of you, and the life you want. It'll catch up to the person you've decided to become. Master your mind, or it will master you. Let me leave you with a final thought. One that's simple to hear, but not always easy to live. You either master your mind, or your mind will master you. There is no middle ground. There's no neutral setting. Your mind is always working, shaping your thoughts, guiding your focus, and creating your future. The only question is, who's in charge? You see, the mind is a tool, a powerful one. It can build or it can destroy. It can create vision or stir up fear. It can speak faith or whisper doubt, and it doesn't care which one it serves. It simply responds to what you feed it. That's why you can't leave your mindset to chance. You can't let your environment decide your focus. You can't let the opinions of others write your story. You've got to take ownership. You've got to choose your thoughts the way a builder chooses bricks, with intention, with purpose, with vision. Because every thought you accept without question becomes a belief, and every belief you repeat becomes a habit, and every habit you live becomes your identity, and that identity becomes the foundation of your future. So let me ask you, what kind of future is your mind building right now? Is it a future shaped by fear, doubt, and limitation? Or is it a future built on purpose, discipline, and growth? Because one of those futures is built by default, the other is built by design. It's your choice. You've learned a lot in this series. You've learned that your thoughts are seeds, and you're always planting, that your mind is a garden, and it needs guarding, that what you think about, you move toward, that your philosophy is the compass for your life, that you can't live a positive life with a negative mind, that repetition builds belief, that your habits shape your identity, that your associations magnify your mindset, that you attract what you consistently dwell on, and that your focus should be on becoming, not just having. Now it all comes down to this one decision. Will you be the master of your mind, or will you continue being mastered by it? Because if you don't direct it, the world will. If you don't filter it, fear will. If you don't train it, your past will. And if you don't fill it, it will be filled for you. Let me challenge you, right here, right now, don't just be a consumer of good ideas. Be a builder of them. Be a student of growth. Be a leader of your own life. Start guarding your input. Start declaring your vision. Start thinking like the person you intend to become. Not someday, but today. Because when you master your mind, you stop reacting. You start creating. You stop living from emotion. And start leading from purpose. You don't just change how you feel. You change where you're going. And I'll tell you this, once you've mastered your mindset, there's no limit to what you can build, what you can become, and how many others you can lift along the way. So as we wrap this journey, remember, you become what you think about. So think wisely, think intentionally, think powerfully, because your mind is either your greatest asset or your greatest liability. And the moment you choose to master it, you take back your life.